Hello and welcome to Double Play Sports. I'm James Biernaut alongside Patrick Duryea, and today we're going to be talking about a variety of 2020 to 21 off-season topics. Let's start with the qualifying offer. We talked a lot about Kevin Gausman's controversial qualifying offer, and both Gausman and the Mets Marcus Stroman, have accepted the qualifying offer. Pat, what are your thoughts on this?
I think Gausman, that's 100% the right decision for him. He'd be stupid not to take that. Stroman, I think I didn't expect that one personally, but I think the Mets have another starter now, even if it is at a bit of a hefty price for a guy that didn't play last year. But I think there's a good chance it could work out really well for both sides.
Yeah, I agree. I think Stroman, the last time we saw Stroman pitch, he was pitching at a near all-star level. He was a 2019 all-star with the Blue Jays, and he showed like great control and a lot more maturity than we've seen at points in his career. So I'm really excited to see Stroman in 2021. I think the Mets can put up an incredible rotation next year if everyone stays healthy, and I'm really looking forward to that. Although, as a Mets fan, I'm getting ready to be disappointed again. Let's now move on to three teams hired managers in the past week. The White Sox hired former manager who last managed for them in the 80s, Tony La Russa. The Red Sox brought back their World Series manager from 2018 and their manager also from 2019, Alex Cora. That's shaking his head. And the Tigers brought back former Astros manager AJ Hinch. So let me just start off by saying I am offended that the Red Sox would bring back Cora. I think that Cora never deserves to have another job in baseball. And although he wasn't managing the team, the sign stealing, that was his, I don't want to say brainchild, but that was his work and his doing. And
Now hear me out. I'm not going to say never get another job in baseball. But the thing that I think is ridiculous is because there's no chance he should be having another job with the Boston Red Sox.
No, not a chance.
You send him to be the bench coach for a team that needs a bench coach, obviously.
Yeah.
And let him work his way back up.
Yeah.
He needs to build his trust back because he doesn't have anyone's right now.
Yeah, I have no respect for the guy. He cheated. He made his way up to the major leagues, a job that I would dream for, and he cheated at a game. You're playing a kid's game, man. Come on, grow up. Tigers brought in AJ Hinch, who was actually a former player for them. Although Hinch also faced his controversy, I don't think that was as much his fault, the Astro scandal. I'm not defending AJ Hinch, but we
have more of a bystander situation.
Yeah, I think
he didn't do it, but he also didn't do anything about it.
Yeah, I think that was a good move for the Tigers, though. Hinch has obviously had a lot of success as a manager, not only when the team was stealing signs, but also that really just took place in 2017-18, as far as we know. 2019,
as well as he has had some failure with Arizona, especially.
Yeah, and earlier in his time with the Astros, but that team was awful. But then you look at 2019, the team won 107 games and got one Howie Kendrick home run away from the World Series, or from winning the World Series. Let's talk about Tony La Russa, I guess. The White Sox say let's get a younger manager after firing, I don't know, Rick Renteria is probably around 60 years old. They bring in a guy who's 76, has had 2 DUIs, obviously one of the greatest managers to ever play this game. Won multiple World Series, won one with the Athletics, won 2 with the Cardinals. Great guy. What are your thoughts on him back in Chicago?
I did not see it coming, that's for sure. I mean, man, they really... Rick Renteria was up for Manager of the Year, and he did not have a job, which I find really ridiculous, especially to hire La Russa, who I think it really speaks for itself, honestly, why La Russa may not be, let's say, fit for a managerial role at this point in his life. But it was their decision. I guess it's the guy Reinsdorf wanted, but
Yeah, and Reinsdorf and him, I supposedly, from what I've heard, I'm not close friends with them, but I've heard they have a good relationship. And talking about Rick Renteria, guy finishes in the top three for manager of the year, brings a team that a year ago won about 70 games to the one seed in a very competitive American League Central Division, and now does not have a job. One team I think as he should head to. I'd like to see him in Queens. Luis Rojas, I don't think had an amazing start to his career, and don't have anything against Luis Rojas. I loved him as a quality control coach. I think he did a great job and has great relationships with the players. But I don't see he's an inexperienced guy, and the Mets are in win now mode. Renteria has been around for a few years, and although hasn't had the most success, is a little bit more experienced and might make some better choices in like type situations. So I'm saying Steve Cohen, give me Rick Renteria in Queens.
Yeah, I would like to see Renteria in Queens. However, like the White Sox were saying of the reason they fired him, he clearly does have some sort of reason to go against the analytics movement,
Yeah, which
which I
as
think is the direction teams need to be going. Maybe not to the extent that the Rays and the A's take it, for example, but with the money they have, that's how they have to run a team in this day and age. But I think it's worth a try.
yeah, and I have nothing against Renteria. I like the way he manages his team, especially his bullpen, which I think Rojas had a few problems with the bullpen, but I think Renteria does a good job with that. But after we talk about managers and qualifying offers today, which is Friday, you might not be watching this on Friday the 13th. The Marlins have made history, hiring the first female general manager in the kind of four hockey, basketball, the NFL, and MLB. So Kim Ang, yeah, definitely a round of applause. I completely applaud Derek Jeter for doing this and taking kind of the next step to getting MLB having more women in MLB. Last year, the Giants brought in, I don't know what position she coaches, but they brought in a female to their coaching staff. And seeing this kind of movement, the direction that the MLB is going, I really like this, and I definitely applaud Derek Jeter for the thing he's doing. Yeah,
Love to see it.
yeah. One more thing we're going to talk about, kind of just in our around the horn news. KBO star Ha Sung Kim, I definitely butchered that, who is the 25-year-old standout shortstop, is most likely going to be posted around Thanksgiving time for MLB teams to sign him. He had a fantastic 2020 season, batting .306 with 30 dingers and 109 RBIs. And a lot of players that come over from Asian leagues, maybe taking Shohei Ohtani out of this, but some guys from recent memories like who've had success, Koji Uehara, Daisuke Matsuzaka, Heidi Onomo. These guys come over when they're a little bit older. Even Ichiro Suzuki, they're not 22, 23, which is what you usually see from like younger rookie guys, but they come over and they have an impact. And I think because, gonna butcher this again, Ha Seung Kim is so young, I think he holds tremendous value to MLB teams. And there have been a lot of rumors speculating teams going after Francisco Lindor, but obviously all of the 5 or 6 teams that may be going after him can't go after him. One team I would really like to see pursue Kim would be the Toronto Blue Jays. And he can play shortstop or third base, so that leaves Bo Bichette at his natural position. And imagine how great a young infield that has Guerrero at first base, Kevin Biggio at second base, Bo Bichette at short, and Kim at third. I think that's a infield that can bring the Blue Jays. Obviously, they have like Teoscar Hernandez and Lourdes Gurriel. They're a great young team. I think that's kind of a team that could help the Blue Jays take next step, not just be we made the playoffs because there's 16 teams.
Yeah, I personally, that was also what I was going to say that I would love to see. I mean, the Blue Jays have such a young, talented roster already. To add a guy like him into that, bringing in some more, because teams nowadays, a lot of it, like I was saying, is analytics, and where they get their players from is analytics. Like more like 10, 15 years ago is when we were seeing really a lot of players come over from overseas and thrive in the majors. But I think that the international market is really important for MLB teams to get ahead of, because, of course, you can have standout guys like I'm sure he will be and like Ichiro was.
Yeah, and I know that some teams might be a little bit skeptical because over the last few years, some guys have struggled. The names that come to mind here are like Yoshitomo Tsustugo, who's currently on the Rays, Shogo Akiyama, who's a great defender but didn't have a great year at the plate, Yusei Kikuchi, very highly regarded but has pretty much for the most part struggled with the Mariners. Even guys who had like some success, like Junichi Tazawa, who was pretty good in the Red Sox bullpen, but never kind of found that like level of stardom that I think players coming over to the MLB from Asian leagues seek. So I think that teams should definitely pursue him. I think he's I won't say once in a lifetime because we've had Ichiro, but I think he's a once in a while talent that you want to take a risk on. The upside is there. So I think this week, obviously, starting with.
Just really quick, I'm going to give one more round of applause for Trey Mancini, as his latest tests have shown no tumor.
Trey Mancini is one of my favorite players, very popular guy in Baltimore. I love that he's just a good guy, and to see the good guy do well, like guys Carlos Carrasco and John Lester have also overcome similar things. It makes your heart feel warm. So next we're going to go talk about starting Monday the 9th, the MLB and the BBWA. Probably not, that's not right either, but they started announcing their award winners. And so here they are in case you haven't seen them. Rookie of the Years in the American League, Kyle Lewis, and the National League, Devin Williams. For the Manager of the Year, the Rays' Kevin Cash won it in the American League, and the Marlins' Don Mattingly won it in the National League. For Cy Young's, Trevor Bauer won it for the Reds in the National League, and Shane Bieber unanimously won it for the Indians. And for the MVPs, Freddie Freeman of the Braves wins it in the National League, and Jose Abreu of the White Sox wins it in the American League. So one more thing we want to talk about today are our trade predictions. Obviously, we talked about free agent predictions on the last episode, which you can see on Podcast Addict or Spotify under Double Play Sports Podcast. We talked about free agent predictions, and a lot of our picks were similar. But now we look at trade predictions, and there are 4 people we're going to talk about today. Those are the Indians shortstop Francisco Lindor, the Cubs third baseman Chris Bryant, the Yankees catcher Gary Sanchez, and the Rockies third baseman Nolan Arenado. Let's start with Lindor. Where do you think he's headed?
Now, from what I can see, it seems like he's going to the Mets. I mean, they've been listed as one of the front runners along with the Phillies, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, and the Cardinals. And it was reported that the Indians see some pieces in the Mets system and even on their major league roster that they really want to get back in a possible Lindor trade. I think if the new regime in New York with Steve Cohen and Sandy Alderson and whoever they bring in as general manager wants to get Lindor, I think they very well will do it.
And I think now that Stroman's back on the qualifying offer, that makes the Mets a lot less likely to bring in a guy like Trevor Bauer, who there were some rumors the Mets were in on him. But now that they've got $19 million locked down to Stroman, I completely agree. I think the Mets should definitely pursue Lindor. Didn't have the greatest 2020 season, but neither did Christian Yelich and Cody Bellinger, and those guys are proven stars. So,
and Bellinger did show up in the playoffs, though.
He did. He definitely did. I think that the Mets should definitely pursue Lindor. I think that could finally be the thing that can bring the Mets to the playoffs. They've had pretty good teams every year since they've made it in 2016 and have not really gotten there since. but I think that a few more pieces could put the Mets over the top. Talk about Chris Bryant. Cubs had a pretty shocking year. They won the National League Central. A lot of people projected them to just continue their decline from 2016 when they obviously broke the 108-year curse. Where do you think Bryant's headed?
Now, you see, I think we're going to group together Bryant and Arenado here.
Yeah.
Obviously, star National League third baseman.
Arenado.
Last offseason, there was a bunch of talk about both of them going to Atlanta or St. Louis.
Yeah.
The teams that can contend and are looking for a third baseman.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that, you look at the Cardinals, what they could send to either Colorado or Chicago. Well, you know what? I think it is more likely that Bryant would end up in Atlanta and Arenado in St. Louis. Just simply because of the in-division thing. The Cardinals don't want to send the Cubs a guy like Dylan Carlson and Matthew Liberatore, and then both possibly becoming future All-Stars.
Yeah.
Just for a third baseman that, quite frankly, might end up wanting a bigger contract than he may deserve from what we've seen.
I like Chris Bryant. I really do. I think he's a really good talent, but there's the level of consistency that has been for his career. He's won an MVP. There's been points in his career where he's able to hit almost 40 home runs and bat 290. Amazing player. But this year, batting like in the low 200s and not hitting a lot of dingers, it's 2020. Things are different. 60-game season. You can't really judge a player off that. And you're getting Bryant. Bryant's, I believe, a free agent in next year or the year following. And so you're not getting that much time with Bryant. So if I'm a team trading for him, and let's say, I think overall the Cardinals are in a little bit more of a win now mode than the Braves are because they have Goldschmidt's getting older. They might bring back Wainwright, might bring back Molina, but who knows? They're an older team than the Braves are, and they have similar farm systems, but the Braves is a lot stronger, I think, with guys like Drew Waters and Christian Pache, and who's already been up to the majors now, but Shea Langeliers, Kyle Muller. They have a very strong, deep farm system, I think deeper than the Cardinals. So I think the Cardinals should try and make as many moves as they can right now to put them as favorites to win the division and also to be able to make their way to like the NLCS or even the World Series. The Braves have a little bit more time, I think. So,
like we talked about last episode with, I believe we both predicted them bringing in Michael Brantley. They could bring in Brantley and another bat with Arenado or Bryant.
Yeah.
Whichever one they would like to bring in. That would be a huge upgrade to the offense.
Arenado is the greatest defender I've seen in my lifetime. I'm 15 years old, so I haven't been able to see guys like Johnny Bench and Mike Schmidt. But if I'm the Atlanta Braves, I'm going to do whatever I can to get Arenado on this team. Freddie Freeman and Nolan Arenado, along with Ronald Acuna in the same lineup, that should strike fear in any team, including the Dodgers.
We're not even talking about guys like Ozzie Albies.
Yeah.
Both Dansby Swanson and Travis d'Arnaud had good years this year. I don't think we can necessarily call them breakout years just yet because we only saw 60 games.
Mm-hmm.
Then also the year Adam Duvall had on top of that.
Adam Duvall had 16 dingers in 60 games. And
they're young pitchers. Don't even get me started on Anderson, Wilson, Wright, all those guys.
Anderson was superb in the playoffs and in the regular season. I don't even know if he lost a game in the regular season. He had below a 2 ERA. I'm going to make a bold prediction here. Within the next 3 years.
Also, they only had Soroka for one game. Half of a game?
Yeah. Soroka got hurt against the Mets. Give it 3 years, the Braves will be the best team in the MLB. I have no doubt in the Braves being they're a genuine team. I thought they were going to make the World Series. I really did. The Dodgers staged a pretty epic comeback, but we'll see the Braves on top within the next few years. One more guy we want to talk about is Gary Sanchez. The Yankees have been rumored around JT Realmuto and Yadier Molina, as have the Mets. But Gary Sanchez, they said over in the last few days, they're willing to trade Gary Sanchez, and they're open for a trade. Now, knowing the Yankees, they're probably going to have a very large price tag on Sanchez, even though he hasn't batted over 230 since 2017. Sanchez is not an all-star catcher anymore, but he's got the potential to hit 30 dingers still. He can still defend. If I'm a team like the Milwaukee Brewers,
Well,
more of a
he
win
can throw people out. I wouldn't say defend, but he can throw people out.
Yeah, which is important for the catcher position. If I'm the Brewers or the Nationals, which are teams that are on their last leg of playoff contention before a rebuild, definitely pursue Gary Sanchez, because who knows? He might come back to his 2016, 2017 form. So, yeah, what do you think?
I would not be surprised at all if teams that have a catcher that's, say, more of a defensive catcher go after Gary Sanchez to play, whether it's every other day or if it's an American League team just to DH, say if he gets hot. For example, if you look at the Houston Astros or a team like the Angels, they have made the playoffs once with possibly the future greatest player of all time on their roster. And I believe they got swept in the first round that year. So they got to do something. I think most people do think they need pitching.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think Sanchez could be on a bit of a discount just for the fact that the Yankees are looking to bring in another catcher and the fans are calling for his head right now.
Yeah. The Yankees, I completely agree with teams like the Angels, but I don't think that the teams are going to just go after him for every other day unless they're a bigger market team, because although he's not a great catcher really anymore, I do still think there's going to be a higher price tag on Gary Sanchez. The Angels.
Well, like this year with the Yankees, he wasn't exactly playing every game.
No, and I think the Yankees, I talked about this last video. Yankees, bring back Austin Romine. Have Kyle Higashioka, who had a much better 2020 season, the best of his career. Those guys could platoon and bring in just as much value as Gary Sanchez. Or go out and sign a guy like Yadier Molina, saying if the Cardinals don't bring him back, which I do think they will, and just he has so much experience, and he has at times in his career been the best catcher in the MLB. So have him kind of like mentor their guy. They also used their 2019 first round pick on a young guy named Anthony Siegler. So the Yankees are pretty good on catcher, but I think they should bring in Molina just because Molina's there for 1-2 years, and that's when Siegler will be ready. You've got him mentoring kind of Higashioka or whoever else they want to bring. Yeah, that's kind of my thought.
They brought in Austin Wells in the draft.
Yeah.
I believe it is. Austin Wells, who, unfortunately for them, seems like replica Sanchez, and not in the fact that he's going to be good at first and flop, in the fact that his defense isn't that great and might have to move to first base.
Yeah. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. That's all we got for you today. Make sure to download, follow us, support us in any way you can. And
those of you on YouTube, like and subscribe.
Yes. And we make sure to check out the Instagram too, Double Play Sports 2020. We post multiple things daily. Great content. We've had 12 MLB players check out the page. It's awesome. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.